Okay, so there's this one molecule that gets all the credit for connection, for building the most powerful bonds we know. Of course, we're talking about oxytocin. But its story is so much more complex than the headlines would have you believe. And today, yeah, we're going to get the whole story.
I mean, come on. The love hormone, the cuddle chemical, the bonding molecule. You've heard all these, right? It's the popular story of oxytocin, this simple, happy, universally positive force for connection.
But is it really that simple? What if that's only like half the story? What if the reality is way more complicated? See, this molecule doesn't just build us up, it also helps draw the very lines that divide us. All right, so first things first, let's really unpack those famous nicknames. We're going to dive into the incredible science that gave oxytocin its loving reputation to begin with. So, what is this stuff really? Well, chemically, it's a neuropeptide, basically a small protein-like molecule, and it has this really cool dual identity. Think of it like a double agent. As a hormone, it cruises through your bloodstream, affecting your body, but as a neurotransmitter, it's working directly inside the brain, shaping our emotions and how we interact with each other. And you know its most fundamental roles, the ones you just can't argue with, are tied to the very foundations of life itself. We're talking about biology's most powerful bonds here.
Okay, job number one, childbirth. Oxytocin isn't just a molecule involved, it is the molecule. It's the primary driver of those powerful rhythmic uterine contractions during labor. It's not just a helper in the process, it's the main engine.
And how it works is just brilliant. It's a classic positive feedback loop. So check this out. The baby moves, and that stretches the cervix. That stretch sends a signal to the brain like, hey, release more oxytocin. The brain does, and that oxytocin causes even stronger contractions. That pushes the baby more, which causes more stretching. And you see where this is going, right? On and on it goes. This incredibly powerful cycle only stops when the baby is finally delivered.
And its job isn't done yet. The second big role kicks in right after birth, lactation. Oxytocin is what triggers the letdown reflex. So when a baby suckles, that sends a message to the brain to release oxytocin, which then literally squeezes the glands to make milk available. And get this reflex is so powerful, it can be triggered just by hearing a baby cry, or even just thinking about your baby. Wild, right?
Okay, so that's the foundational stuff, birth and babies. But let's see how this molecule takes those core functions and builds them into something much, much bigger. Because beyond all that, oxytocin is basically the ultimate social glue.
Yeah, this whole bonding thing, it expands way beyond that initial mother-infant connection. Fathers, they get a big oxytocin boost just from playing with their baby. It's what strengthens the bond between romantic partners. It even underpins our friendships, our relationships with our pets. I mean, it's fostering the trust and empathy that are literally the foundation of our entire social lives.
And get this, it totally changes how we should think about stress. We've all been taught about the fight or flight response, right? That's all driven by cortisol. Well, oxytocin gives us a completely different strategy: tend and befriend. So instead of getting ready to fight or run away, it pushes us to seek out our friends, our family, to find social support. And doing that releases more oxytocin, which calms us down. It's literally a biological shortcut to finding strength in numbers. So it really sounds like the hero molecule, doesn't it? All good, all the time. But it's not that simple. Not at all. And this is where the story takes a really fascinating and, honestly, a crucial turn.
So let's talk about what some researchers have called its surprising dark side. But you know, a better way to think about it might not be a dark side at all. Instead of a giant floodlight of universal love shining on everyone, think of oxytocin as a very, very specific spotlight. An in-group spotlight.
Okay, so this is the absolute key takeaway. Oxytocin's main job isn't just to make you feel love in general. It's to make you feel love and connection for your people. Its primary function is to strengthen the bonds and, yeah, the favoritism within whatever you see as your in-group, your family, your friends, your team, your tribe.
And that has a huge, direct consequence. For anyone inside your spotlight, your in-group, it boosts all the good stuff: trust, cooperation, empathy. But for anyone outside that circle, the out-group, it can do the exact opposite. It can actually increase distrust, bias, and defensiveness. So it pulls the circle of us tighter, which, by definition, makes the line between us and them a whole lot sharper.
Okay, so knowing all this, how can we actually harness this super complex chemical? Let's take a look at the applications. Everything from the clinic right down to our daily lives. while the most common medical use is something called Pitocin. That's the synthetic version they use to induce labor. But right now, the research is just exploding. Scientists are looking into its potential to help with everything from postpartum depression and social anxiety to maybe even improving social skills for people on the autism spectrum. Now, a lot of this is still being studied for sure, but the potential is just massive.
And here's the really great news. You don't need a prescription. You can totally influence your own oxytocin levels. Things like positive physical touch, hugging, massage, having a deep conversation with a friend, playing with your dog or cat, or even doing group activities like singing in a choir or going to a yoga class. All of these have been shown to naturally get it flowing. These are the real everyday building blocks of connection.
So if we had to boil this entire complicated story down to one single idea, this would be it. Its core function isn't about universal love for everyone. It's about reinforcing social boundaries. It's the molecule that builds our communities up, but at the same time, it's also the one that draws the line defining where they end.
And that leaves us with a pretty challenging question to think about. The next time you feel that amazing, powerful, oxytocin-fueled bond with your group, maybe it's worth taking a second to ask yourself, who's being left outside that circle?